We are live. How about you, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Live call-in show. I'm your host, Jeffrey Lee, Senior Recruiting Editor for Auburn Live on 3. Today is Sunday, May the 19th. Be with you.
There you go.
We have a fantastic show for you tonight. You know why, Alan?
Why?
Because Kevin from Wilmer, Alabama is on hold.
Ooh, how about that? You know what? We cannot have a Sunday show if Kevin's not already on hold. It wouldn't feel right, would it?
He is prepared. Hang on, baby. I'm gonna eat after this.
You want me to leave it in there?
Nah, man. I'll come down there in a minute. Keep it in the microwave or something. Wrap it up. It's pretty sweet of you, though. Yeah, it's a little late. Kevin from Wilmer's already texting me, man. He's got it going. He's ready to go. He's prepared. He's got his questions ready. And he's going to lead us off. To introduce Mr. Allen Head. How about you, Mr. Allen Head?
How about you, big dog?
All right. Cole Pinkston will not be with us tonight. He is on daddy duty tonight. He is taking care of some things. And we'll just, little Coleman need a little extra love tonight.
That's right.
So Cole's pulling the daddy duty. Let little man know we're thinking about him. And I don't mean by little man, I don't mean Cole. Hey, we're going to get to the phone lines. We're going to get Kevin starting us off on the show. Before we do, if you're in or around Auburn, Opelika, Lee County, you need some help, want to find a new home, look no further for that help you need, man. I'm telling you, Jessica Andrews with the Talents Group, 334-704-4442. A lot of fours in there, but she is a 5-star realtor. If you don't believe me, just ask me. Give her a call, folks. Jessica Andrews with the Talent Group. She is fantastic. I promise you, 5-star. You will not be disappointed. If you are, call and tell me, and I'll call you a liar. Because I know you won't be disappointed. Nobody ever is. She's fantastic. Give her a call. Tell her we sent you. All right, Mr. Allenhead. Real quick before we get to the lines, Auburn picked up Dante, cornerback commitment on Saturday. Visited. He committed shortly after leaving. And then Jaheim Hudson committed for basketball. What do you take away of those two guys real quick?
So Dante Core, I would probably comp him to a guy from a physicality standpoint, from a length standpoint, to someone probably one of your favorites, Pat Lee from Miami Central back in the day. A guy that's got a lot of raw tools right now, good balance and body control, good ball skills, above average speed, good length, but probably hasn't put it all together in a way that would put him in that 4-star, 5-star caliber type player. But that doesn't really mean a whole lot, right? Like there are 3 stars to make the NFL each and every year. 3 stars is not necessarily indicative of his talent ceiling. It's just where he's at right now. But the traits that you see on tape are those of someone that could play at a much higher level and a kid that could develop into something that's going to be really, really good, contingent on what he does when he gets to campus. It's going to be on him, right? But a much needed add in this class. I think we only added 1 true cornerback in last year's class from the high school ranks. So they're probably going to take 3 in this class, and now that makes number 2 and a really valued pickup. And then Jaheim Hudson, I think Bruce was obviously looking for that piece in the at the 4, somebody to give you some rotational minutes there, around 10 to 15 a night. And I think Jaheim Hudson can do that. And again, not a guy that has the most, flashy stats.
Ribbons
a guy
on the
that,
wall.
right? You know what I mean? Like a guy that can give you some competitive depth, though, and a guy that, if you look at their NIT matchup against Indiana State, which was probably the best team they played last year, and a team that took Alabama down to the wire, he had 21 points on a very efficient night. I think he was 7 of 8 shooting with double-digit rebounds. So a guy that does have some ability, he just hasn't stuffed the stat sheet the way a lot of guys would have liked. But again, a value pickup, a guy that's going to mesh well with this team, another player from the state of Georgia, where I know Bruce loves to recruit from. And so you're going to bring in a kid that's going to be hungry, motivated, and we'll see what we get.
Zach in the back has come to the front because I'm guessing Mr. Kevin from Wilmer is saying, hey.
We got called out in the chat real quick. Auburn softball making a run right now. They're only down by 1 to Florida State championship round tonight.
Oh,
chance to advance to the Supers, if I'm not mistaken.
Now, did they win the first matchup today? Because they got to win twice. I haven't paid attention at all today.
The second matchup, I know they're playing right now. They might be tomorrow then.
Okay.
Second game, but they're playing right now with Florida State because Maddie Pinta broke a record last night, like 224 pitches, 21 strikeouts.
Wow.
Something stupid.
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah,
Okay.
very good.
She could strike me or you out, Jeffrey.
No,
Even
she could not. No, she could
even though
not.
I know, I know you've had a running bet on this.
Dude, I would launch it. I'm sorry. I'm sending that shit. I'm sorry.
Bro, me and you both gonna whiff, and you know what I mean. It's gonna look really, really bad. It's gonna hurt the manhood.
I
But
didn't even play baseball growing up, so I definitely know I'm whiffing. I don't even have a shot. But we'll go to Kevin. Kevin for Wilmer, man. You're live.
Tell us who you are.
Kevin from Wilmer, Alabama.
How about you tonight, Kevin?
Fine, I got 6 questions for you, Jeffrey Lee.
Okay, Kevin from Wilmer, Alabama. Let me have them. Checks notes.
Mhm.
Caleb Burton will have 21 touchdowns.
Ooh. Who else you got, Kevin?
And Camdy Brown will have 20 touchdowns.
Okay, I like it. Oh, he's checking
And
notes.
Ricardo Fairweather will have 27 touchdowns.
27 for Valdo. Who else you got, Kevin?
Cam Coleman with 28 touchdowns.
Okay. 2 more, big dog. Who else you got on there?
And Perry Thompson, 27 touchdowns.
Okay. Last one, big dog. Make it a good one.
Mhm.
And Jaquez Hunter, 29 touchdowns.
Okay. Jarquez. I'm guessing that's going to be a rushing and receiving because I'm expecting Jarquez to catch a couple of passes out of the backfield.
I think so. He showed that last year. I mean, if you think about the Ole Miss game where he had that beautiful snag going on that drag right across the middle, kind of tipped it to himself and was able to pick up a big gainer in that game. But that's a part of his tool set that doesn't necessarily get always tapped into all the time. And I think that's something that Hugh Freeze and his staff think that he could take advantage of.
And you know what? That
And
might
pray
play.
for Brian Beatty.
Yeah, big dog.
Good call on that.
Good stuff, Kevin. I like it. You've got, I think, about 160 touchdowns here between these 6 guys. And my question, we talked about receiving, who's going to lead the team in receiving touchdowns last week. Who do you think is going to lead the team overall? And I don't think Peyton Thorne should count. That's right. So, are you going with a Jarquez Hunter? Are you going with the leading rusher? Are you going with the leading receiver? Are you going with the leading tight end? Who do you think at the end of the day, at the end of the year, the end of the bowl game, assuming Auburn goes to the bowl game, which they will, who has the most touchdowns behind Peyton Thorne?
Jarquez Hunter. I think the combination of rushing and passing yards, and I think given your new featured weapons on the outside, now obviously Hugh Freeze's history has been throw it around the yard, right? Like that's the history that he has. But I think the best room you have at this point still from an offensive skill, like a skill position standpoint, is still running backs. Even though I think the wide receiver core is vastly improved, I think your 3 running backs are probably still your most defined weapons, right? Like the ones you can count on at this point, for sure what the kind of productivity you can get out of that room. And because of that, I think they're still going to lean into the run game. It'll probably be a little bit more. I mean, what was the ratio last year? Like 35 to 65, you think? Or 65-35 run to pass, I would think. I think it's probably going to be closer to like 45-55 or maybe even 50-50 this year. But because of the red zone and how much success Auburn has had in the veteran offensive line, you've got to think they're going to lean into the run game some still. And so I'm going to go with Jarquez Hunter as your leader in overall touchdowns this year.
Yeah, I feel like that would be my guess too. That's kind of what Kevin brought it up. Jarquez scoring 29, but he's got Jarquez scoring more than the other 5 he mentioned, and I think in the end that's going to be right. Not the number, but for most, he's got Jarquez scoring the most. I think that's legit.
And Zach, I want to hear you, but I think Hugh Freeze wants to show that he can do both, right? Like I think he wants to show, hey, we can absolutely air it out in the passing game, but we can be physical up front too, and we can run the football. Like I think that is kind of a pitch to certain running back prospects, and we'll talk more about that because you have a lot of guys that are coming in on official visits in June. You know, at one point, I think we thought that Shakai Mills-Knight and maybe Usman Kroma were the only 2 coming in, but that's not the case at all.
Right.
You've got a plethora of running backs that are coming in for official visits during these upcoming months. So I think they're going to want to show, they're going to want to put, you know, proof on tape that, hey, we can run the football too, and we can put a 1,000-yard rusher in the league, and Jarquez Hunter's probably the guy that's going to be able to do that for you. If it's not him, then maybe Jeremiah, Hunter or Damari Alston. But Zach, what are your feelings on it?
Hey, before you do, Zach, I'm going to go eat, dude. I'm going to be gone 10 minutes. I'm going to get in trouble. I was going to wait till it's over with, but I'm going to get in trouble if I don't.
Sure.
Yeah, you can go. All right. But before we do, man, I had a quick little personal question of the week, POW, the Q is silent. What do you call this right here? If I said let's play
paper, rock, scissors.
Is that
rock, paper, scissors?
Paper, rock, scissors for me, Alan.
Yeah. Paper, rock, scissors.
That'd be a generational thing.
It's rock, paper. That's what Brooks said. It's rock, paper, scissors, shoot. And I was like, no, it's paper, rock, scissors. That's what we're playing.
Yeah.
So that would be, I think Hogbone's on. Tell him I said hello. I hate that I missed him. Hopefully I'll get back. But I'm going to go eat. Y'all keep talking. I'll be back in 10 minutes.
Sounds good, dude.
But no, man, if I had to put money on it, I think Hunter's probably the one. But I'll go on a limb. I think it's Rivaldo Fairweather.
Okay.
Just because I think when you look at receiving touchdowns for running back, Jeremiah Cobb's a bigger weapon out of the backfield as a receiving back than I think Hunter is. And I also think Damari Alston is going to steal some of those touchdowns because he can be just as physical. And I think also Damari is a better opportunity to have some explosive runs this year. You look at the Iron Bowl, what he did. So personally, I think it's going to be Fairweather just because he's such a big target in the red zone. And then also, too, I expect them to push the ball down the field with him and win some one-on-one matchups. Because, Alan, if you got him out there on a smaller safety or, God forbid, a linebacker, that should be the first read. Just tell him to go, and I'm going to put it in your catch radius, and you got to go make a play.
100%. If you can get a DB, like you said, a smaller DB or a linebacker in conflict on an RPO concept matched up against Rivaldo Fairweather, I'm not even looking at what my other checks are. That's exactly where I'm going with the football because it's playing with house money at that point, right? With his balance and body control and the way that you could utilize him in the middle of the field. And we didn't really get a chance to do as much of that, I think, as Hugh Freeze would like to last year because of the deficit of not having those playmakers you need on the outside. So he was featured more on the outside than he probably will be this year, I would think.
Yeah. All right, we'll go. Let's see. I believe this is Hogbone. 3365. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey, fellas, it's Bo from Moody.
Bo from
Whoa, Bo, what's going on, brother? I hadn't heard from you in a minute.
How y'all doing, man?
Doing good, Bo, doing good. What's on your mind tonight?
I want to say prayers to Batee, man.
Yep.
Say prayers to Brian's family.
I think that's what it's needed at this point, and I second that. And I think everybody that's on this show tonight obviously is thoughts and prayers with the Batee family and with Brian himself, and praying for the best outcome that can come from this.
That is so sad, man. Didn't the running back from our state visit us this weekend?
So the visitor this weekend was Usman Kroma, and then Alvin Henderson. Alvin Henderson was there on an unofficial visit. You're right. He did.
Do you heard anything good about it?
I think Jeffrey might be able to answer that on the recruiting show for you. To the best of my knowledge, it seems like everything went well, and that as long as he continues to visit, I think Auburn is going to stay in the thick of it with Alvin Henderson. But anything specific, no. He probably no commented, or I haven't seen anything yet to this point that's been reported. But when I asked on it, I mean, it seemed like everything went well. Nothing like jumped out. But again, if he's visiting and he's committed somewhere else, you can kind of say, okay, reading the tea leaves, that it's a good thing, right?
Yeah. I believe we're going to get him, man. I really do. I think he's taking Penn State to their cleaners, and then he's going to come to Auburn, man.
That could be the case. I think with him, and let's let Zach jump on this, but I think he does want to see Auburn show the ability to feature a 1,000-yard rusher in this offense. I think that's big to him. I think Penn State has been able to sell him on that. Now, Auburn's traditionally, you could match Auburn running backs for Penn State running backs. And, there's really no separation. But I think with Hugh Freeze, he does not have that history of putting a 1,000-yard rusher in the NFL. And so for a back like Alvin that's looking to be featured and make sure that the NFL is on his mind. So that was an easy sell point for Penn State. And then I think they were able to kind of negatively recruit us some there, and not just them, but other teams. And to be honest, when I say negatively, it's just them more or less kind of reciting fact. So how this season plays out for us, we'll play a role in Alvin's recruitment. That's for certain.
Well, I think, you was talking about softball a while ago. They're playing Florida State right now. It's 3-2 in the fifth. And I think if they win this time, they got to play them again tonight, later.
Yeah, it's either tonight or tomorrow, one of the two. I don't remember when the game would be
They
scheduled.
was on the 2 o'clock this morning.
Mm.
Yeah, they played games yesterday and won them both. That's how they won. Any receivers that came in this week?
No receivers. You had 2 offensive linemen and Malachi Goodman. And I'm trying to think of the young man from Kansas. His name's a little bit difficult to say, so bear with me on this one.
Are you thinking about the offensive tackle?
Yes.
Andrew
Babalola. And then you also had Usman Chroma, the running back out of Leesburg, Georgia. So that's that South Georgia area. And he's a featured back, man. I mean, he's somebody that Auburn has put a lot of work into. Up until this point, it's felt like Georgia has probably been trending Bo, but there's some interesting dynamics going on with their own running back recruiting, where Bo Jackson from Ohio is very high on their board. And there's some people that think that he may commit to them sooner rather than later. They've also got another back from South Georgia that's also high on the board for them. So things may get crowded over at UGA, and Usman Chroma might be looking elsewhere. Who knows? But it sounds like the visit went extremely well for Auburn this weekend with him. And if you could land him, that's a guy that doesn't you don't really think about Alvin Henderson if you're landing Usman Chroma. That's for sure.
I got one more thing to say. The guy from Thompson, Antoine, is it Antoine?
Fegans.
And his brothers, Anton.
Yep.
Do you think that since his brother committed, that it's looking better for us?
Bo, I would tell you my information on Anquan Fegans has been that Auburn has been in a good position regardless of what his brother did, or at least that's what I've been told up to this point. I mean, there have been various times where I've had information that's more or less pointed towards where I thought he might go ahead and pull the trigger and commit. So I think we're in a really good spot with Anquan. Who knows when he's going to actually commit, but I like where we sit right now. I think Auburn is the leader. I believe his father has said that Auburn is extremely high on the board. He did a very public interview at one point, I think it was with BOL, where he was quoted as saying that. And my information has basically led me to believe that Anquan Fegans is going to land in this class. Now, when that happens, I don't exactly know. It may happen after his OVs. He may just wake up one day and decide, hey, I'm ready to be committed. But I think we're in a really good spot there on that one. And Hugh Freeze and Charles Kelly have done a phenomenal job in this recruitment.
All right, I thank y'all, man. I really appreciate everything y'all do. God bless and keep Brian in y'all's prayers.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you.
Will do, Bo. God bless as well.
Let's see. I believe this is Edward, man. Edward, you're live.
What's going on, folks?
Edward, what's up tonight, big dog?
What's going on, man?
Living the dream, but just glad to hear from you. It's been a minute. Obviously, I think you probably got something heavy on your heart tonight, but would love just to talk football with you for a little bit and how you've been doing.
Oh man, no shit. I've been doing pretty good. I had intended on calling in last Sunday, but I kind of had dozed off and went to sleep.
I hear you on that. Well, what's on your mind tonight, Edward?
Well, first, just prayers to the Batiste family.
Yeah.
And as a father, you feel your heart go out to these parents that you got to bury one child and you got another child fight for his life, and it's senseless. And this is something I tell kids all the time. I tell young men that's trying to make it all the time, you can't go back. Once you make it to a certain level in life, you can't go back. You go back and see mama, you go back and see grandma, you go back and see auntie, but you can't go back, hang out. You can't go back to the same spots you used to be in. And I sympathize because I have to say that there's a problem that we have in my community, the black community. It's too much gun violence. It's too many of these mothers dealing with the same thing that this lady got to deal with for no reason. So in the age of NIL and you getting money basically in high school, you getting money now. You going back to the neighborhood. What I need these kids and players to understand that a lot of people that grew up with you, they're not your friends no more. A lot of people that you once was around, now they envious and jealous of you. So that's something that I hope that the coaching staff preaches to these kids. You can't go back. I bust my ass to make a life for my sons to get us out the hood because we lived in the hood. I lived to where, my neighbor got hit by a stray bullet Christmas Day, and died. I lived that. I went through that. I bust my ass to get my sons in a situation, and I'm always letting them know, son, you can't go back. You can't go back to the hood. We made it out of that, so that's just my thoughts. But, the future's still looking bright for Auburn football, And I'm just waiting on the season to roll around and just excited about the direction that Hugh has his program going in, man.
Edward, I want to thank you, first of all, for sharing your perspective. It's just truly tragic that this has happened, and thoughts and prayers out to the Petit family. But hearing your words, obviously, it gives me new thought, and I just want to thank you for coming on tonight and being willing to share that. But brighten the mood for us if you can a little bit. Give me 3 players that you're expecting over summertime to have some buzz about what they're going to be able to do in the fall. I want the Edward special. Lay the foundation for me, big dog.
3 players. My first player would be Jeremiah Cobb. I still think the ceiling, is tremendous for that guy. And if we talking about summer, I got to go with one of my young guys. I look for a lot of buzz to float around Perry Thompson day one that he gets there.
I hear you.
You know, there's a kid that physically, you know, he's ready day one. Outside of Camden Brown, we don't have nothing that looks like that at the wide receiver position. And, you know, I think it's going to be hard to keep him off the field. I think, you know, day one, you know, summer workouts. I think you go to hearing his name being called. And I'm going to stay with my guy on the defensive side of the ball that I said earlier. I think J.C. Hart continue to make strides.
I like it.
I think he continue to make strides. I'm not saying that you know, he's in the starting rotation, but I think he's a guy that's on the cusp of seeing the field this year. I really do. There's a lot of talent there, and I think, you know, just this summer and time to learn Durkin's system, I think he starts to put it all together.
I'm not going to disagree with you on any of that. That's for sure. Now, you know who just showed up, right?
When will Perry get the cappers? Will he get the cappers like in the next week or so, or he be one of those to come like right before fall camp? That's what I wanted to know.
No, he'll be here soon.
Last week of May, I believe, Edward. I think last week of May, first week of June is when Perry's set to report. I don't believe there's anybody that's in jeopardy of not showing up. Is there, Jeffrey? Not that I've heard.
Nothing. And the thing about Perry is, and this was last week, I was talking to somebody and who knows a lot more about it than I do. And Perry is ready. Like, he's been hearing all spring, Cam Coleman. I mean, nobody's mentioned Perry Thompson because we haven't had a reason to, right? Been talking Cam Coleman, and Perry's sitting at home and he's seeing all this.
He's stewing, isn't he?
And he's like, all right. This is Edward, right? I came in on the.
Oh, yeah.
Big dog. When I came in, I heard that. I said, absolutely. It's exactly what I was told last week. Like, he put out a workout video about a week ago, and it was almost like, don't forget about me. Like, I'm over here working too now. Don't forget about me.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
I think it's a competitive drive between those two kids.
Absolutely.
Cam and Perry. You can see it back when they was racing on Twitter earlier this year. There's a competitive nature between those two kids that I think Perry, one of those kids, you're not going to outwork him. And, you know, he's going to do everything in his will to come in and catch up to where Cam is at right now with this summer, 7-on-7 going on this summer. I know, you know, we got the transfer from Penn State, but I'm telling you, man, don't forget about Perry, because if Cam Coleman could make up all of that time, he wasn't here for bowl practice. He basically made up from just say January to spring practice. That was he was able to do. So you give Perry from June up until the start of the season, who knows how much ground he can cover, man. So, you know, I'm just excited, and not even brought up a kid, Malcolm Simmons, man. I think Malcolm is another one. I don't know will he see the field much, but I think you hear his name in that mix as well. It's guys who is showing something this summer, but it's too much talent there. It's too
completely
much talent there. With the guys that Hugh has, maybe, you know, he can bring Malcolm on a little slower, and he's not just pressed to get him on the field, you know, day one, but don't be surprised if you don't start hearing his name called. And I'm going to hang up, man, and y'all guys have a great show.
Hey, hang on, Eric. Hang on, Edward. Did they ask you, what do you call this?
I don't think he's watching the show right now. I think he's on the phone.
I'm on the phone.
Is it paper, rock, scissors? Rock, paper, scissors? What do you? If somebody says, "Hey, let's play." What do you call
I
it?
always call it paper, rock, paper, scissors.
I like it, Edward. Thank you.
I always call it rock, paper, scissors.
Oh, wait a minute.
Rock. That's what I'm saying. Everyone in the chat said rock.
Huh.
Jeffrey,
That's the only way I ever heard it. Rock, paper, scissors.
Me and you must be the weirdos on tonight's show.
We're the old heads, big dog.
Yeah, no doubt, dude.
Paper, rock, scissors, man. Let's play it.
Last time I called, man, you was I don't know what you had going on. Hell, you went at work. I know that, but glad that you're on your job tonight, man. Glad that you're here. And you're on your job. Hey, I caught me a 54-pound catfish about 3
Really?
weeks ago, man.
Have you eaten any of it yet?
No, I got him in the freezer. Well, my dad got him in the freezer because I gave him to clean him for me. But I'm looking forward to filleting him and frying him real soon. That'll be Memorial Day.
I was thinking, is a big fish like that? I mean, is it any count? Is it fit to eat?
Yeah, honestly, that's the biggest one I ever caught. So I'll let you know after I eat him.
Please
really
do.
say right now, a lot of people say, they're not good to eat, but I think it's more of how you clean him than it is just the fish. Cause in my mind, it's the fish. So
I'm with you on that. Whatever.
Real thin, he should eat just like the rest, though.
Yes, it's all about the cut, man.
Yeah, because if you're filleting them, it's completely different than if you're frying them whole, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, completely different. I mean, we're still rolling them in cornmeal and everything else. But
something like that in small pieces instead of trying to fry bigger pieces. Just cut them up in small pieces.
All right. Keep me posted on that, big dog.
Got fish off of one fish. So.
Did you catch him on a trot line or something? How do you catch a 54-pound?
I caught him on a rod and reel.
Where?
Off the Alabama River.
Really?
Oh, Joan Bluff Dam. Robert F. Henry Reservoir.
Right below the dam?
County.
Wow.
Yeah, rod and reel.
look, if my dad's listening to this show tonight, he's on his way to the Alabama River right now thinking about a 54-pound catfish.
Oh, live shad.
Okay. I appreciate you, Edward. Got a new spot to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Freezer's full.
I say, man, I'm gonna hang up and listen to the show, man. Y'all guys have a great night.
Appreciate you, kid.
Thank you, Edward.
The only person in the chat that agree with you is Emos.
Heck yeah.
See, but if Emos agrees with me, that's like 10 other people, okay?
Sure.
We got one last caller for the night.
Okay. Did I only miss Hogbone?
No, it wasn't Hogbone. It was Bo from Moody. They have similar caller IDs for some reason, so I got mixed up. But we got 4947. You're live. Who are we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Wardank. How are you guys doing tonight?
Oh, Wardank.
What's up, buddy?
Yeah, man. Hey, I got like a pretty quick question, but first of all, it's rock, paper, scissors. Anyone that says you different, they're just wrong. So, ban them from the show or whatever you got to do. But, hey, my question is about Julian Lewis. Like, from what I understand, he's in the mix for quarterback, right?
Yep.
Oh, for sure. Probably the most likely guy.
Here's my real question. Like, I just want to know, and I'm not trying to be like doubtful or cynical or anything. I just want to know if you're Hugh Freeze or you're Ken Austin or together, like, what is your pitch? How do you convince him? Like, what do you sell him on that you can do at Auburn that you're not going to do at USC? I just want to know that. That's my only question. Hope you guys have a great night. Love you.
Thanks, Wardank. Paper, rock, scissors. I appreciate you, Big Dog.
The easy answer, play right away. If you look at USC, they just took the UNLV transfer. I think it's Maileva. Is that correct? Or what's the kid's name that they snagged out of the portal this past year that looks like they're going to be running away with the quarterback battle? He's probably a 2-year guy. Zach, if you can do me a favor.
Maeva.
Is it Maeva? Jade Maeva. He's probably a 2-year guy there. In this situation with Juju Lewis, he could come in, and if he's the best player, he can play right away. There is no incumbent that he will have to battle in a quarterback battle. So that's number one, is the ability for playing early. 2, playing in the SEC and playing with a plethora of wide receivers that probably fit what you do best.
Much closer to home.
Much closer to home. I don't know if you've ever been to Carrollton, Georgia, but it's not a metropolis like Los Angeles. It's something that's completely significantly different and much more like Auburn than it is like LA. So for a guy that's, first time away from home, and think about how young Juju's going to be, guys. He's graduating almost a whole year early. Like, he's going to be, wherever he's going to go, he's enrolling in January of this year.
And he reclassified from 2026.
And reclassified. So think about making that kind of a decision and living in LA when you're like 16, 17 years old. And you're living in a place that's probably, how many people do you think are actually in Carrollton, Jeffrey? What, 25, 30,000?
Yeah, it's like I don't even know if it's as big as Opelika.
Right.
I
So-
mean, it's, but, and also another thing, you talking about being in LA, being 16, 17 years old, not even only that, but being 16, 17 years old with presumably $500,000 in the bank.
Correct. And I think money's going to be relatively equal in both spots, more or less. I think.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
But where does your NIL dollar go further to? Okay, is your NIL dollar going further in Georgia and Alabama, or is it going further when you're living out there in California? And what are the taxes on that?
And who's there to support?
There you go. Whereas your family can be there for every home game. They can get back and forth. I know that Juju's father is extremely involved in his recruitment and probably wants to be very present as it pertains to, you know what I mean, for being there for games to support him, because being a freshman starter or going through that transition from being a 16 or 17-year-old to being a college football player is a massive transition. So not to have that person to lean on is significantly different. And then if you look at, you know, Hugh Freeze has put quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah.
He has 100% put quarterbacks in the NFL. Now, Lincoln Riley has obviously put some preeminent players in the NFL. Probably the best of those, I think, is going to be the Alabama transfer, wouldn't you say? I think he's the...
That was my reaction to Cole chiming in.
Yeah, we were laughing at the chat.
Paper, rock, scissors.
Hey, there you go, Cole. Help us out here. But
what were you talking about?
Now, who would you think that Lincoln's best starter in the NFL is right now?
Jalen Hurts.
I would think it's Hurts as well. I think it's Jalen Hurts. I mean, who else is even in the league that he's put in right now? You've got
Baker.
Yeah,
Baker threw for like almost 5,000 yards last year and led a bad Tampa Bay team back to the playoffs.
He did.
He did just have the number one overall pick too.
He did.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So
who was the lock to Auburn, by the way?
Oh, don't. Oh man, the sourcing on that one.
Because I know you, Alan. I know you mentioned the transfer, but there's a lot of hype surrounded around the guy who won the MVP for the Holiday Bowl, right? Is it Miller Moss?
Yes,
and he's got 2 years left too.
Correct. So
if he comes out and has a big year, he could potentially be back again, and now you're stuck behind two guys with multiple years of eligibility.
Correct. So I think the avenue is just clear, and it's not. I'm not trying to downplay Walker White or Hank Brown or Holden Gerner. I'm just saying that there's no incumbent, and either which way, regardless of who the starter is at USC this year, you're probably going to be walking into a battle where you're going to be redshirted almost undoubtedly. Whereas with Auburn, there's an opportunity to get on the field day one.
Yeah, you're selling what's on paper, which is these guys have never played meaningful college snaps.
Yeah,
right at Auburn. And when you're looking at USC in the depth chart there, Miller Moss, Maeva, so it'd probably be an easier sell to him.
And if you're also Auburn, you're probably also selling him on playing in SEC venues versus being at USC, and now you're traveling halfway across the country to play in Big Ten stadiums, dude. Like, no offense, but that game to that away, New Jersey, have fun with that trip. You know what I mean? Like,
there's like 3 venues that you might get 4 might get excited about playing inside the Big Ten. The rest are pretty forgettable, I would say.
Right. Like, I'm not getting excited to go play in Des Moines, Iowa. I'm just not, man. Like, I'm being honest. Not a kid from Carrollton.
Is Northwestern still in Big Ten?
Yes.
Northwestern still in Big Ten?
Stadium this year. They're playing at like a high school stadium because their stadium just got torn down.
Yeah, they're rebuilding everything over there, man.
You've got Michigan, you've got Ohio State.
Nebraska is pretty iconic.
Penn State playing in Happy Valley would be that would be a big deal. So those 3 for sure. I guess
Michigan State.
Yeah,
I would say Nebraska, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State are the only 4 that would be, because if Nebraska gets good again, that stadium can get
for sure.
It can get rocking for sure.
But we had a last second caller, if it's okay with you. He tagged me in the chat. I believe it's Darren, but I could be
If you're
wrong. It's
talking for sure.
5202. You're
But we
live.
have a
Darren from Niceville.
How about y'all now?
How about you, big dog?
Is it?
It's Darren down here in Niceville. Man,
Oh,
sitting on the
wow.
water, watching those damn big old bass hit this. Throwing a little bread out there, watching those big bass hit the damn water.
Oh, get the pop R out, big dog. Get that pop R out.
You know, Edwin, thank you, Edwin. Appreciate Edwin coming in and doing what he did, y'all. I hate that, and he's right. Look,
Edward?
there's jealous people in this world, jealous. And I think Brian Batty is, you know, he is an Auburn guy. He's got mojo. He's doing a job. And, you know, you go back home and there's a lot of jealous people. But you shouldn't be out there at 3:30 in the morning. My dad always told me nothing good happens after midnight. It don't. So just don't do it. You're better than that. All you young people, listen to me. You're better than that. You're in a different place now. If you've got an Auburn, an Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Texas, if you got them looking at you and giving you a scholarship to come do a job that you love to do, stay away from the rest of the bull. Okay? Do that job. Be the best you can be at that job. And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks anymore. It doesn't. It's all about you and your family and your future. Please realize that. Don't go back and drop into the cesspools of where you came from because of people who are in drugs or killings or whatever's going on, bar hopping, whatever it is, it's not worth it. I'm going to leave that one alone. Just had to say that one out loud, guys.
Okay. I don't know the
Yeah,
details.
I'm going to be honest. I don't know
No, I'm not saying I know anything, and I don't. I'm just saying is when you go back home, you know where you're at. You know every city block. I can go to Enterprise, Alabama, and I promise you I know where to go and where not to go at. But again, I'm not going to be anywhere at 3:30 in the morning, guys. Sorry. I'm just not built that way anymore. Not.
Anymore.
No, I mean, I hear you, Darren. I don't want to provide too much commentary on this just because I don't know anything of what happened with Brian Batty other than the young man, unfortunately, is in critical condition in the ICU. And beyond that, I just want to say thoughts and prayers to him and his family. I honestly,
that's what hurts my heart.
Yeah.
Alan, that's what hurts my heart. Here's a 22, 23-year-old guy with, even if it's not Auburn football, right? I mean, here's the whole, I'm 58. 58. Military guy, been around, loved Enterprise High School. Bill Bacon and what we did in the 70s and 80s. Oh, my gosh. We lived the life of 4A football. And it was only 4A back then. I know it's 7A or whatever now. But it hurts my heart to see a young person that's got everything out there in front of them. They're only looking at where I'm at right now. Y'all, this stuff goes by really fast. I'm 58. I can remember being at where I'm at now at Campbell's. I'm with Campbell's Soup. And I was the young guy. I can remember guys telling me, don't go sell, don't do that because you know what? They don't care. I can remember being that kid coming up at a major multi-billion-dollar worldwide corporation. Do you understand what I'm saying? Worldwide corporation. Think about the United States of America and the iconic brands that are here. Campbell's is one of, name it. Name the 3 or 4 that's even better than Campbell's Soup. Okay? So
soup is good food.
I'm just telling you, being an old guy now at this end, military and career and corporate America and everything else, jeez, man, please get it. Please grasp it and understand it because it will pass you by faster than 386,000 miles per second. And if anybody understands what that number is, then you get it. And I'm going to leave it at that on that one. Okay.
All right.
Wasn't it, Alan, maybe Jeffrey, was it not Edwin about 3 weeks ago was kind of saying, hey, when we got a 4th and 2, why are we pitching it back to why are we pitching it back 6 yards when we got studs like Jackson? Why are we not just doing a damn power eye and just blast it, put a defensive end at the damn fullback and just if you're going to stop us, stop us. But by God, we're putting 260 pounds of meat in front of 240 pounds of meat or whatever. I love it. And I think it was Edwin that brought that up about 2-3 weeks ago. And I know you guys have a lot going on and a lot of damn commentators, but man, I love that guy. Edwin has some really great content that I agree with. Just going to say that out loud.
No,
Yes.
I know Edward would appreciate it. He's one of our valued callers here into the show, and I think he would obviously appreciate the fact that you enjoy his content for sure.
So, question to everybody, Zach in the back, everybody got you on this one. Early in the show, you said, "What's our guy that starts the show that kicks us off?"
Kevin from Wilmer, Alabama.
Absolutely, Kevin from Wilmer. So he said, and y'all said y'all feel like the running game might get more touchdowns. So let me ask you this, and I'm gonna hang up. But does that not preface on the defense? Are you trying to catch up with an offensive passing game, or do you run the clock out and you're scoring with a running back game? Just wanted to ask that. And does the defense provocate which one gets more touchdowns in games and at the end of the year? Thank y'all, and I appreciate y'all so much. Y'all have a great weekend.
Appreciate you, Darren. Appreciate you calling in, big dog. Keep it nice down in Niceville. I think last year the defense probably was a bigger impact on the offense than it will be this year. I think that's the hope, right? The defense was so thin, the depth was not there. Therefore, they had to shorten the game with the offense. We think Hugh's goal this offseason has been to eliminate that. And we feel like he's picked up the guys, especially from the portal. Awesome. Going back to the winter class, to the spring portal windows, he's filled a lot of those needs, if not all of them, on the defense, front seven, everything. So do you think does the defense have anything to do with you thinking Jarquez Hunter is going to lead the team in touchdowns?
No.
That's the way I took the question.
And I'll take it two different ways. Yes, okay. I think our defense probably does play into it, but it's contingent on the team you're playing against, right? Like, what's your matchup? That's realistically with Georgia and Alabama, you probably still need to try to shorten the game just because you don't have the same explosive weapons that they have on offense. So why give them added layers at the apple, right? With everybody else on the schedule, there's nobody else unless Oklahoma just absolutely, like Jackson Arnold, is more than I ever anticipated that he becomes. There's nobody else that really scares me that we're going to play from an offensive standpoint. So I think we're going to open things up realistically and make sure that we're airing it out some. I believe that Peyton Thorne this past year is the first quarterback in a Hugh Freeze offense to have less than 300 passing attempts. The first in his entire history as a head coach. And that's counting Lambeth, Arkansas State, Ole Miss, and Liberty, right? Maybe even going back to his high school days. I don't know. I don't have those stats in front of me. But the first quarterback to have less than 300 attempts. I don't think you're going to see that. I think we're going to be north of 300. Now, the other way I'll take this, when he says, does the defense dictate? Well, yes, the opposing defense 100% dictates who's going to be the leader in touchdowns because how they play you is going to determine what you're going to utilize, specifically in a Hugh Freeze offense where it's an RPO concept, right? So if they're going to make sure that they're playing 6 in the box and it's a light box, obviously we're going to hand the rock off. If it's a situation where they're going to be stacking the box, unlike last year where we realistically just didn't have the guys to make plays in one-on-ones to force them to come out of that many players in a heavy box, now you've got the ability to expose that. So because of the added weapons, yes, the defense is going to dictate, but that doesn't mean that you can't take advantage of matchups. And so how they play us throughout the year will probably determine who's the leader in touchdowns. And I think that part of Darren's statement is right.
I think my guess on Jarquez Hunter leading in touchdowns was I think the receivers are going to be kind of evenly spread out. I think, Lambert Smith's going to have his share. Cam's going to have his share. Camden's going to have his share. Robert Lewis is going to have his share.
Yep.
I think Jarquez is going to be your primary back, especially in the red zone. And let's see, he had 7 TDs each of the past 2 seasons, 7 TDs rushing, and then one reception in 2022. So he's had 8 and 7, so 15 over the past 2 years.
Right.
Of course, with an anemic offense that they had last year, it's actually the past 2 years.
Right. And Zach did make a valid point. And Zach, I want you to jump in here about Damari taking snaps away from Jarquez. And you saw when Damari got back to full speed, how he affected that Alabama game with his ability, and especially his vision and some of those one-cut runs that he made in that game where he popped the big one down the left-hand side there. My question with Damari is durability, right? Can he stay healthy? Jarquez has stayed healthy all 3 years for the most part. And even when he's had injury, he's fought through it and still been productive. So I know what I have with him. With Damari, with getting his shoulder banged up last year, does that happen again? Can he fight through it? What's the situation with him? Does he even have to fight through it? I honestly don't know, but I need to see him get through a full year healthy before I'm going to say, okay, he's going to surpass Jarquez Hunter as probably the bell cow in the backfield.
Yeah. I mean, and also, too, I think Jeremiah Cobb, like I said, is the most versatile running back you have. And so I think he's at the end of the day, you can't go through another season and not give him snaps.
I agree.
Because at the end of the year, we know what's going to happen. It don't matter if Jarquez is off to the NFL. He's going to find somewhere else to play because it's been 2 seasons on the bench. So you're going to have to get him snaps. And he's the best receiving back out of the core, I think. That adds another weapon in the red zone. If they're going to throw the football, put him in over Jarquez Hunter and Damari Alston, in my opinion. I agree, though, Jarquez is going to make a push for it because, like you said, he's the bigger back. I think he's the most physical back. But I just think because of Cobb's versatility, plus if Alston can stay healthy, I think that's going to spread it out. So I would, but you walked away, but I said I think Fairweather is going to lead the team in touchdowns. Just because he has the explosive playability over the top in the right matchup.
Okay,
and if you're going to pass in the red zone, if he's one-on-one, I'm taking my shot at least one play out of the 3, and we're just going to throw it up. And if he can make a play, I'm going to trust my guy to go make a play in one-on-one.
Did we say Valdo? Did we all agree last week or the week before that Valdo was going to lead the team in touchdown receptions?
It was me and Zach, and then I think you had. Ooh, look at that!
I want to say you had Lambert Smith, right?
He did. So Jeffrey had no. Cole had Lambert Smith, and Jeffrey had our freshman Cam Coleman.
Cam Coleman.
Yeah, that's where Jeffrey went with it. Yeah, Cole had all day draft.
Will anybody? As I said, Jarquez scored 7 last year, 8 the year before. Will anybody score 10 touchdowns this year?
I had Fairweather at 10 to 12.
Is he the most likely?
I think so because of the ability to utilize him on a smaller safety and or linebacker. I think that gives you a mismatch nightmare. Now, how many vertical shot plays does Cam Coleman get? And I think that was your point, Jeffrey, is he's going to be that deep threat that we just didn't have last year. And how many of those does he get? Does he break 5 big touchdowns that give him the leg up over somebody else? That's what you don't know. Because I think he's that guy from 40+ that's going to have the ability to get into the end zone, specific with his ability to get vertical in the passing game, man.
Can I ask you guys something?
Sure.
With Darren asked us a good question about how does the defense dictate the offense. I didn't think the defense was dictating the offense last year. I actually thought it was a weird vice versa because Hugh knew the passing game wasn't consistent enough to take chances. And so he had to run the ball just to give his defense a break because our defense was the only reason we were in a majority of games. The defense wasn't the problem. It was Hugh knew that the offense wasn't consistent enough through the air. And if he threw it 3 times, odds are we were going to throw 3 times, be off the field, and the defense was going to be right back on the field. And at the end of the day in the SEC, you can have the most depth in the league. You can't go 3 and out every single drive and expect your defense to hold up.
Yeah,
because LSU had talent
off the clock.
Yeah, so I really think it was the offense being atrocious that dictated everything last year. I don't think it had anything to do with the defensive personnel.
I think it goes hand in hand. right?
I think it was a combination, Zach. I do believe that the offense and what we were limited in being able to do last year absolutely played into some of the strategy that we utilized, specifically trying to bleed as much clock in certain games as we possibly can. I do think that from asking around, that they did not love the depth at every position last year on defense. Like they didn't feel like they had a solid 2 deep, I don't feel like, at certain spots. This year, I think they feel much better about the depth, but it may be who's going to emerge as like the guy. Like, you have Eugene Asante and what he brings to the table, guaranteed. J-Mac, what he's going to bring off the edge, but in the interior defensive line, who's going to be that guy? You knew who that guy was from day one last year. There was no question who the leader in the interior was. Can that be Keldrick Faulk? Can he step up and be that kind of playmaker for you? Can he be a leader as a sophomore? You just don't know. And then on the back end, Jaron Thompson is a safety that brings a lot of veteran leadership, but can he get control of a young DB room that he didn't necessarily come up in? This is not like Jalen Simpson, a guy that bleeds orange and blue, right? This is a guy that graduated from the University of Texas, and now he's coming here for his last year of football. So will guys rally around him and play to his leadership? There's some questions there. I think the depth is better, but can guys emerge as that guy? Guys not just that can be productive, but guys that can lead, because that's such a player-led teams are the best teams. And I'm not saying that from my own experience. I mean, I am saying that from my own experience, but I'm also saying that from any coach that's in the business will tell you that if it's a player-led team, you're probably going to have a chance to be a lot more successful than if it's a coach-led team.
I think that's a fantastic question, especially during the slow time of the year. I love the arguments or the justifications being made of who will lead this team in scoring.
Yeah.
Of course, it's probably going to be, Towns McGoo or
I mean,
the kicker usually does, right?
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, how could they not, right?
You're right. So you've got the kicker, you've got the quarterback, but what position player besides the quarterback is going to have more touchdowns? And there's just so many different arguments to be made for Jarquez, for Cam, for Valdo, for Lambert Smith, hell, even Robert Lewis.
Take us back a year. Are we having any kind of an argument about who's leading us in touchdowns this time last year?
No.
We were just hoping to score a touchdown at that point. I mean, like, think about that Cal game. Like, do you guys remember the energy on the board in this show after that Cal game? Like, Auburn was 2-0, and we were like, bro, I don't know if we're going to win another game.
Mm-mm. That was the most. It was sickening to watch.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that game. I'm with my dad. We're watching it. We stayed up late to watch it, and it was awful. And somehow Auburn won.
I was on the Eastern time because I went to Notre Dame that week for their season opener,
Right.
and I was sitting in the hotel room, and it was like 1 a.m., and I was like, I don't even want to stay up and watch this. This is horrible. I got a flight in the morning.
Awful.
No, it was basically a pillow fight of a football game, man.
And then 3 weeks later, you almost beat Georgia.
I know.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is going on?
And then you go to LSU, and it's like we're back in the same spot. And then you come back at the end of the year, you almost beat Bama, and then Maryland puts in the third string not to score 60 on you.
This was after New Mexico State beat Auburn.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that one too. Yeah.
And those are the waves that you're going to have in a first-year transition, right? Especially when you bring in as many new players as Hugh Freeze brought in. You have as much transition on your coaching staff. Continuity and learning to win as a team are huge things. Building culture is a real thing. I mean, it honestly is. I know there are people that say that culture doesn't exist in today's age of the transfer portal. Look at your most successful teams. Look at any team that was in the top 5 last year, and I include Florida State in that. And you're talking about a team that gelled together for years to get to where they were. Michigan, national championship. You had a guy with a ton of fifth-year seniors. Jim Harbaugh bringing guys back. Alabama, just year-over-year production. Georgia, I would put in my top 5.
Sure.
Who else was in the playoff? Washington, old team. You know what I mean? So you're talking about years and years of gelling together. Auburn had probably, a 50% roster overhaul this time last year?
Yeah, they did.
And a brand new coaching staff. So inconsistency is just what you're going to get in a first-year transition like that. And I expect that to improve from an accountability standpoint, from a consistency standpoint of what you're going to get week to week. I think that's going to improve. And that's the big thing with Auburn this past year is like you just talked about, Jeffrey, week to week, you didn't know which version you were going to get. Minus that strand where you went on Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, Arkansas. And was that a byproduct of Auburn hitting their stride? Or was it a byproduct of those were the worst 3 teams we played on our entire schedule? I mean, honestly, short of Sanford, right?
I mean, really and truly, what Mississippi State fired their coach not long after.
Yes.
Arkansas should have fired their coach, and every fan in the country wanted Sam Pittman fired. And then you play Vandy, who any year you lose to Vandy is a bad year.
No doubt. Even the James Franklin years, you're still walking away from that. Damn, did we just lose to Vanderbilt?
Yeah, right. And you know what? We talk about 50% overhaul last year on the roster, 41% this year. So it's still way. I mean, I think there's 35 new additions to this roster. 35 out of 85. I did the math on my calculator. 41%. 41% all new guys. 41% of the roster.
And how much of that is, I think it's more high school, though, this year. So
big time.
So it's a little bit easier to get culture buy-in from high school kids than it is sometimes with portal players that are used to doing something a certain way for the last 3 years. And that's not indicative of every portal player, but I think guys get accustomed to doing things a certain way, right? And then all of a sudden you're changing things for them and you're asking them to do something a new way. And it's, okay, all right, it's not working for me this way. I'm going to go back to doing things my way. I'm going to go back to doing things the way that I know how to, that's successful, that got me to this point.
For every 2 transfers that Auburn brought in this year, they brought in 3 high school guys.
Good. It's the way it needs to be.
So it was 21 and 14, and it was 22-22 last year. It was ratio was 1-to-1. That's unacceptable.
Well, and it just, again, first year.
Right, yeah. Sure, yeah. Well, no, for at the time, that was absolutely acceptable. But
sure,
in the long term, that you can't do that. And you're going to see that graph, that trend keep going down.
I think Auburn would love to get it to like 10 transfers next year, right? Like not 14, but 10.
Yes. That's a big change.
Huge
you're going
change.
From 1-to-1 to 2-to-3.
And I mean, look, our transfer numbers could still jump some. Khalil Jacobs has yet to make a decision. I think he's still on the board. I think we all still believe that they potentially could take a cornerback out of the transfer portal, given one, becomes available that Auburn's truly interested in. And I have not been able to find anybody yet at this point. Like there's been nobody that I've got a hint of information on anything, man. That's probably the most frustrating, thinking they're going to take somebody and you're just constantly kind of trying to check around and nothing's coming back on that. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all goes.
Well, we'll wrap it up there, man. We're going to be tracking all this. It's still going on. Official visit season has begun. Auburn had 5-star offensive tackle Andrew Babalola on campus this weekend. They had 4-star offensive tackle Mikael Goodman. It's not Mikael.
It's Malachi Goodman, right?
That's what I said. Malachi Goodman and Usman Kroma.
Yeah, big one.
Big dog running back. And then you had some unofficial visits. You had Shamar Arnaud, cornerback from Carrollton. The 2026 safety Zealous Hicks from Carrollton was on campus. Dante Core obviously came in and committed.
Alvin Henderson
shows up unexpectedly. Well, at least to us.
Yeah.
So lots going on this weekend. There's going to be more official visits. We're going to have a recruiting show Wednesday. We'll be running down all of that and looking at some of the things that are happening in the Auburn football recruiting world. One more time before we go, if you're in or around Auburn, Opelika, Lee County, looking for a realtor to help you, look no further for the help you need. Miss Jessica Andrews with the Talents Group. Give her a call, 334-704-4442. Why should you call her? Well, she's a 5-star realtor. If you don't believe me, ask Mr. Allen Head. Give her a call. Tell her we sent you. All right, that's going to do it, folks. We'll be back Wednesday, and then, of course, we'll be back next Sunday night to do this all over again. Had some great calls. Appreciate Kevin, Bo from Moody, Edward, Big Dog, Wardank, and Darren. Good calls tonight. We appreciate everybody listening. We appreciate everybody watching. For Allen Head, for Zach in the back who came to the front, I'm Jeffrey Lee, man. Y'all stay at that left lane. See ya.